to Financial Understanding, Finance for Understanding. I'm your host, Noah Sloan. In episode 5, Finance from a High Schooler's Perspective with Christian Garcia, I got the privilege to talk to Christian Garcia. He's going to be a high school sophomore at Ventura High School. And today we had a intuitive, detailed conversation about finance from a high schooler's perspective and understanding it from his perspective in everyday life. Enjoy the episode. Please give us a follow on Spotify and consider sharing the episode with somebody. Welcome, Christian, to the podcast, Financial Understanding. Today, how have you been today?
I've been great today, Noah. It's been really nice. Thank you for having me on the podcast. It's gonna be really fun.
It's my pleasure. Today, I want to first by asking, what is your perspective on finance and your understanding?
Finance. My parents, they talk about it a lot. It's a big part of being. If you're functioning as an adult, it's a huge part of it. So obviously, you're gonna talk about it, and they talk about it whenever they talk about it. When we're here, when we're not here, it's mostly just stuff about mortgages, about saving money. A big saving money. They're big savers. If I'm correct.
I like that. I'm a saver too, as the listeners that now know. So, understanding, I agree with you. Finance is a big part in society, and I think it should be talked about. On today, I want to discuss on how finance is looked upon as a high schooler in 2024. And by starting off, understanding your perspective, let's touch upon budgeting. What's your perspective on budgeting?
Yeah, so budgeting, like I said, my parents are big savers, so they want me to save as much money as possible. They're like, oh, we'll put this to college. We'll put this to, like, say, a new car, a MacBook for college. I honestly don't listen to them. I do have to admit, I spend a little bit over my budget. However, my parents can't stress enough how much saving money is.
You mentioned the MacBook. I just want to touch upon spending more than your income. What do you think's a good ratio for a high schooler to save based on their income?
That's a tricky question. So say you have an income of, so each week you get paid like $100, $150. So that week, depending on how much money you have, say if you start off with about like $500 and you get $150 each week. I know it's not the most realistic scenario, but you have $500, you get paid $150. So in order to maintain that budget and grow your money, you want to save that money as much as possible. And if you're just a teenager, right? So you have all this stuff. Your parents are probably providing most of the food for you. They're providing most of the programs for you, like after school programs. So you don't have to, there's not much input of money you have to provide. To not spend much is pretty easy.
I agree. I just wanted to ask from your opinion, what do you think for an average high schooler is their number one priority expenses?
Okay. So priority expenses, probably saving for your college tuition. I'd say that's a big one. That's a really, really big one. And I want to be new clothes every once in a while. New jackets, new pants, new stuff like that. One thing I would say that is not a priority is overspending on those jackets. Where you could get a perfectly good jacket at another store without a name brand and then getting something expensive, Adidas or Nike, something expensive like that. I'd say that getting the cheaper option is a little more responsible.
When you go out with friends, when you spend, how would you say you spend your money on when it comes to clothing? Talk to me and the audience about like how it looks upon a scenario. Let's just say you go to an afternoon in downtown Ventura or wherever you go clothing shopping with your friends.
Yeah, it really depends on which stores there are, but I would not say that I spent my money the most responsibly. Say there's like, I'm going thrifting and I see, actually no, not thrifting. I'm going to Buffalo Exchange, right? And the stuff there is known for being pretty pricey. So I might spend a little over my budget, just a shirt or two or a jacket or a pair of shoes or something. And I would say that it's not responsible because I know that I could get a pair of shoes probably at another thrift store or another store, probably cheaper than I would get it at Buffalo Exchange.
I see the discount is a huge part where you can maximize whatever you're buying, like say clothes. How do you think for an average high schooler, when it comes to budgeting, how do you think they budget and diversify their money with clothing?
That's a really tough question. See, as a high schooler, especially as a freshman, there's not much you can do. You're 15, 16, you can't really hold or get a job just because you're underage. However, when you move into your sophomore and your junior year, your junior and your senior year, there's a lot of other new opportunities open up because you're just older and you can drive now, you can have a job, like I said. There's just a lot more opportunities. So budgeting wise, I feel like there's a lot more you need to do since you're a senior, you're getting ready to leave for college. You're already packed. Your parents provided most of that. But what are you gonna do once you're out of the house? That money that you saved during freshman year is all gonna really help you now.
What grade do you think is the best opportunity for seeking out finance?
I'd say any grade, because as soon as you know about the basics of financial concepts, as soon as you get to know this stuff, the sooner that you'll start inputting that in your normal day-to-day life, and you start building off of that. And I think that's really important, no matter what grade you're in. That's really important.
Do you think it differs from, let's just say, you're a lower class in high school, 9th and 10th grade versus 11th and 12th grade? How would you say the opportunity from your experience in school varies with knowledge?
I mean, there's always, whether you like it or not, there's always a way to make money, whether it's like a side job. You go on to mow someone's lawn or pick up after someone's dog and walk them. It might not be the best source of income, but it's a source of income nonetheless. But as you're a junior and as you're a senior, you're 18 now, so you can apply to jobs, you can apply to internships. That's the most important thing. Another thing that plays into it is what type of education. What are you getting out of your education? So if you're enrolling in all these programs, all these new opportunities open up all of a sudden. So enroll in as many programs as possible in order to open up those opportunities.
I like how you say it opens up another door with whatever program you're in. Let's just say you're in a photography program in school. There can be an opportunity that opens up, and you can become an intern as a photographer because everybody wants those pictures taken at events for professionals.
My buddy, he's like, he's part of what is it called? It's called the law one, the law program. It's called, what is it called? Mock trial, yeah. So he's in mock trial, and he gets an internship at this law firm, and I'm like, as a sophomore, like, that's crazy. And he was in mock trial. So do mock trial, do all the other stuff, do, what is it called, Model UN. That's a great one. I feel like that would broaden your horizons extremely.
Do you think at all, so how you were saying you sometimes overspend sometimes, that doesn't, as high schoolers, they don't really experience the debt rabbit hole. But how would you elaborate on debt, that concept?
As a really young person, like it's a 15-year-old, I'd say that you're really not likely to get in debt at 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe 18, because you're moving out of your parents' house, getting ready to go to college. I can see that's where you lose a lot of money. However, it's really just based upon how much you save. If you save properly, you're not going to be in debt. And I know there's a bunch of student debt out there. There's a lot you have to pay, and there's a lot you have to input in order to go to college, go to university. So you will be in debt, but there's always ways to make money. There's always ways to dig yourself out, whether it's manual labor, it's just a job you really don't want to work. There's always something that can help you.
That's good. How do you look upon, because with student loans, how you were saying earlier, with student tuition, what's your perspective on how student tuition has gone up 200% since the early 1990s?
Wow, that's a huge number. 200%. That's a really big number. So I'd say that's really surprising. That's alarming almost. With that number, there's a really high chance that without the money saved you're probably gonna like dig yourself into that whole student debt. You can't dig yourself out quite yet because you have to pay over and over again. Plus. So my sisters are in college. One of them's in Cal Poly, the other one graduated. They both went to Cal Poly. In Cal Poly, I heard things. They were like, I need food, I need a bunch of other stuff. I need to pay for my textbooks. I need to pay for extra classes, and there's the rec room. I think that's free, right? Yeah, that's free. But all these needs, like, you have to function on your own, and just the stress, honestly, clouds your mind. I've learned because it can be very stressful in college. My sister Juliana, she took a bunch of courses, and she excelled in them. However, she was extremely fatigued in her mind, and she, on top of paying for food, paying for loans, it was just super hard. So when you go to college, that's probably most likely when you're gonna be in debt.
The stress that it takes upon those higher courses, they can really take a toll on your mental health. How would you say in your friend circle or your community at school, how is finance talked upon in your circle?
Well, finance isn't a huge part of our conversation. I'd put it that way. However, a lot of us, I wouldn't say we're big spenders. However, there are some decisions, financial decisions, that are not the smartest. And this isn't excluding myself. I include myself in this. But here, like, my friend just bought an Xbox or like a new PC, like $1,000 plus. I'd say that with help of your parents, I guess it's somewhat tolerable when it comes to your wallet, because your parents help you, so you can kind of dig yourself back up. However, when you're older and when you make these financial decisions, it could leave a huge dent, and that dent in your wallet could somehow lead to debt if you don't pay it off soon. So basically, your actions right now can seriously determine your actions in the future. If you're like, oh no, if I spend a bunch of money right now, I'll just save later on. Those habits follow you to adulthood, and you could end up being in debt sooner than you might think, just because of those habits.
You might be able to go down the debt rabbit hole, and it just keeps on compounding and compounding. Why do you think, in this instance, you were saying some of your friends, why do you think some of your friends, they feel the urgency of spending on whatever that big lavish thing you said, on those big expensive?
A lot of people, you see these people with nice clothes, nice shirts, nice shoes, that honestly costs a lot of money, and you can see it, and you can see how they wear it. They don't flaunt it. However, it's almost like this energy that they want you to see it. And so the way I see it is that in order to fit in or put yourself out there with your community, with your friend group, you buy the same clothes, you buy the same shoes, you buy the same shirts. So a lot of it is just social. So if they're wearing that and they look good in it, you want to look good, so you're gonna buy that. And I honestly think that's a crucial part. You can't let the decisions of other people get in the way of you saving or making money.
I totally agree with that. How you're saying people fitting in, how is that motif of just buying how everything whatever is looked upon and how it's displayed in school for a teenager?
So this act of spending a lot. So when you spend a lot on clothes, and you get all these nice clothes, you get all these nice shoes, so I think people will definitely notice. However, it doesn't matter. Just they're clothes. They won't exactly alter your future. But what will alter your future? Those spending habits. Say you spend like $60 on like a pair of pants, which is tolerable, but then you spend $30 on a shirt, a single shirt. That single shirt can be spent. You can buy a nice shirt somewhere else for like $12. So there's no need to be spending $30 on a shirt. And those unhealthy spending habits will follow you to adulthood. Say you're trying to buy a car, and they somehow, the salespeople, they hustle you into buying it now, and you don't wait. You want that shirt now, or you want that car now. So you're gonna spend the ticket price, which is way more expensive than what you could have gotten somewhere else. So a lot of it, I feel, is patience. You just have to wait for the right opportunity to open up, and you get what you want in the end.
So that's a key example that patience virtue is a huge and is a hard trait to accomplish and master. How do you think a high schooler's relationship money is displayed with today?
Today, a lot of us young people, it's not, most of the time, we make money. Most of us, we do make money. We have jobs. I could not say the same for myself. Well, most of us, we don't, it's not our money that we're spending, so we don't really care. So if it's not our money, we're probably going to spend it a little recklessly, I'd say. We're not going to spend excessively, but we will spend a little bit excessively.
Do you think most kids are aware of this spending and just spending of the money and where it comes from?
You see, I think a lot of kids are aware that they're spending a bunch of money, but they're reassured with the fact that it's probably not going to cause anything to happen in the future. However, it most likely will. And a lot of students, people do have jobs. People do have steady sources of income, so they're backed up by that. They're held by that, the fact that they'll probably make it back.
For sure. I'm curious. How would you say, in your experience, is money talked about, or finance? Is it talked upon in your household at all with your family? Is it talked upon?
So, like I said, my parents are they're big savers. So they'll talk about saving money for college. They'll talk about saving money for like a car. Like I said, new equipment, new stuff like that. They'll talk about it a lot. They won't talk about stock as much, but they will talk about saving as much as possible, as efficiently as possible to get what you want.
Those are really great skills. How have you applied those skills that your family has taught you into your life? You were saying you spend some, but do you have a good saving too?
I would say that I have a moderate saving. I have a moderate way of saving. I will receive some money, not by doing a job, which is I'm not proud of. However, I do have not a steady source of income, but a source of income nonetheless. So if I spend a lot of money where I'm out of money, that's probably not going to happen.
Let's just say you were to get if I were to give you $150, how would you say you would diversify that money?
Well, to diversify that money, I'd probably take $50. I'd put it to the side. I'd get $100. I'd save that $100, and I could use that $50 with, leisure, with new shirts, new clothes, stuff like that.
How do you think a high schooler would spend? Let's just say I would give them the same thing, $150. How do you think they would utilize it?
I talked to a lot of friends, and they'd be like, some of them would be like, oh, I'll save it, or I'll put it to something else. I'll put it to another use, and then some of them would just be like, oh, I'll use it on this, right away. They'll use it on something else.
More on that spending side is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'd say more on the spending side.
For sure, those spending habits. So I guess, do you think financial literacy should be a class in high school? A mandated state standard, kind of like health.
You see, I think financing is really important, and learning about this stuff is, as soon as possible, is crucial to how you function as an adult. So I do think it should be required, but I do not think it should be a class. I think it should be a voluntary after-school program. That would be really great.
For sure. What is... Oh, one sec. I just finished my matcha. My matcha. I made me and Christian some good matchas here to hydrate us for the show. So that's good. So I wanted to talk about, do you have any financial goals as a person?
My financial goals, I'd say they're things like, just saving enough money to go to college, definitely. And I receive a lot of that help and a lot of that support from my parents, from my sisters. I'd say that my main goals are to just stop spending so much money where I need to worry about saving money, which is just gladly not in reality right now. However, it could possibly become a reality if I do not fix these spending habits.
I like your goals there, because spending can leverage how much you save, and you can buy that more elaborate thing, how you were saying earlier, a car, a BMW, for example, or like a Porsche. How would you compare BMW versus Porsche?
Well, this is a little off the topic, but I'd say BMW is a great car brand, don't get me wrong. However, most of their models, the newer models, don't accommodate to the older not fan base, but the older consumer. Because Porsche still has the classic look of like the dome-shaped Porsche, the classic Porsche with the rear wing. Oh, it's so much nicer than his BMW. They've accommodated to consumers in the way that they just make SUVs now. And I see a couple BMW sports cars, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. But there's only once in a lifetime where you see a Porsche 911, and it just strikes your attention. That's like, when you see a Porsche on the road, that's like seeing 5 BMWs.
I like how you said, like my Lego Porsche downstairs. I was saying earlier, like in earlier episodes, I'm a big BMW guy, but that's good too. Porsches are good. The BMW iX is great too. But yeah, Porsches are a little bit more expensive comparing on the financial side. I just had to say that on air and get your opinion, which one was better. I'm going to ask you a fun question. If you could live anywhere in the world, you could live with no price, where would it be and why?
Well, my first answer would be San Diego. However, without a price, I'd still have to think about the other stuff. Like if I didn't buy a $20 million home, but it was given to me, a $20 million home, and maintenance wasn't included, none of that was included. I think I'd have to think about maintenance. I'd have to think about the prices of like what if a bathroom breaks down, or my toilet stops working, or my refrigerator stops working. It could be, the prices could vary, but can go up so much higher than you could possibly think. And even especially in a home that's like worth $20 million. San Diego is a coastal state. It's right next to the coast.
San Diego is a good option. I like that. That's a good choice. Well, Christian, it's been a great having you on the show, and I hope everybody enjoyed the content that we had today.
Yeah, it's been really great being on the show. Please listen to more of these episodes. They're really nice. I've listened to a couple myself.
Did you like the matcha?
Yes, I did. I could say that's the best matcha I've ever had in my life.
Okay. Thank you so much, Christian. I had a splendid time talking with Christian from finance, from a high schooler's perspective, discussing everyday finance, how he goes upon it in his day, discussing it in his personal life, discussing it in how he looks upon it at school. And I had a great time doing my first interview podcast. Please share that. I hope you liked this episode, and please consider following us and giving us a 5-star review. And I am going to be doing more of these interview styles integrated with the lessons. And yeah, and please follow us on YouTube, Financial Understanding Podcast, and on Instagram, Finance for Understanding, I'm pretty sure. So have a great rest of your day.